MudBlazor Components, Part 5. In Part 5 of the MudBlazor Components series, we'll be demonstrating the implementation of components starting with G to N. As more parts of the series becomes available, you'll find their links in the description below, as well as a link on how to install and set up MudBlazor. The description also includes a GitHub link to all the source code. The MudGrid component is used to lay out element positions and sizes in a responsive way. The spacing attribute is simply the space between elements and is measured in 4-pixel increments. So a spacing of 10 would mean 40 pixels. The size of an element is determined by two factors: the size of the screen and how many columns the element should span. The page is divided into 12 columns. So, setting the column span to 12 means the element fills all 12 columns. Setting it to 6 means it fills half the page width, and so on. The XS in this example is the breakpoint. It means if the screen size is extra small or larger, then use the specified column span. In the provided table, you'll notice XS is usually for devices like phones, while LG or large is for desktops. So, if you wanted the first element to span 12 columns only on a desktop or larger device, you would have set it to LG equals 12. If you want 4 elements next to each other, that would be 12 divided by 4, which of course is a column span of 3. You can also set multiple breakpoints, so the element size is different on different devices. Here we see our MudGrid spacing set to 10, which means 40 pixels. Then each Mud item has its own size set. You can force the next element to start on a new row by using the MudFlexBreak component. Grid elements can be justified to flex start, which aligns elements to the left, flex end, which aligns elements to the right, center, which centers the elements, space around, which makes the outside space equal, space between, which makes the space between the elements equal, and space evenly, which makes around and between space equal. Our first item is a select component to simply select the grid justification. Then our next item contains a nested MudGrid, which creates 6 items of different sizes. These items will be arranged according to the grid's justification. The MudHighlighter can be used with other components to highlight search terms within text. Here we use it with a list component. We got a text field where the user can enter a search term. Then, the highlighter will mark that search term within the specified text. The MudIcon is pretty straightforward. It can be custom brand icons and different colors and sizes. The title attribute behaves like a tooltip when the user moves over the icon. You can use different variants of icons, like filled, outlined, and two-toned, for example. Alternatively, you can use other icon sets, like Font Awesome or the text-based fonts from the Google API. To use these fonts, you'll need to add a link these fonts in your app.razor file. Then, reference them as documented. Also, icons are used in other Mud components like the button or icon button, for example. With the MudImage, you can specify rounded corners, an elevation value for shadows, or a fallback source for when an image is not available. If you specify an image's width and height, the image will change ratio to accommodate the new dimensions. With the fluid attribute set to true, the image will respond to the size of its container. In this example, we have a div container of size 50 by 50. While this image will be scaled down, the fluid attribute will not scale an image larger than its physical size. Also, the ratio will not change. For the object fit attribute, there are several options: none, will crop the image and scale the image to fit the container. Cover will scale the image without changing its ratios to cover the containing area. Contain will scale the image so the whole image fits into the container. Fit will scale and stretch the image to fill the entire container. Then Scale Down will choose the best option between None and Contain to show as much of the scaled down version of the image. In the code, we used a MUD chipset to change the object fit attribute's value. We use the same technique to demonstrate changing the position of an image inside its container. MudLink generally behaves like a normal anchor element. It has an href attribute to specify a target URL and some formatting like typography, always underlined, and color. Alternatively, it can also respond with an on-click event. The MudList component is just that, a list of custom list items. The MudList subheader is a custom header and not part of the items in the list. Use a divider to display a horizontal line. The secondary text can display additional information about an item. When you add a nested list to an item, a drop-down arrow will appear for the user to expand the list item. In the example, we added a switch to change the value of the bound expanded variable. To select an item from the list, set the selection mode. In the first example, we're demonstrating single selection. A variable is bound to the list's selected value and displayed in the subheader. For multi-selection, you can of course set the selection mode accordingly. But for the binding value, we use a iRead-only collection, and it must bind to the selected values, plural, not the selected value. In the subheader, we build a list of the selected values to display. In multi-select mode, the list will display checkboxes next to the items. The MudMenu component behaves like a pop-up menu. In its basic form, we can use a label for the user to click on and open the menu items. When setting dense to true, the menu item's vertical spacing is reduced. You can change the activating element. Here, in the first menu, we're still using a label but with a start and end icon. In the next menu, we only use an icon to activate the menu. And in the third menu, we customize our activator with activator content and use child content to specify the menu items. The menu content itself can be customized. Here we added icons to the menu items as well as a divider. Then if your list of menu items is too long, you can specify a max height. The menu will get a scroll bar if the items don't fit in the height. If you want nested menu items, keep in mind this may only work on desktop apps. As an example of two-way binding, we can use the open state of the menu and bind it to a switch component. Also, you can change that open state with a button, for example. Here, when the button is clicked, we open the menu, wait for 1 second, and then close the menu again. You can change which event opens the menu. For example, the left or right mouse button, or simply moving over the menu activator. If you want the menu to open wherever the mouse cursor is, set position at cursor to true. For specific or advanced menu placement, you need to set the anchor origin, in other words, where the menu will open, and the transform origin, meaning how the menu opens about its anchor point. So here, we added a mud badge to the menu just to show a dot where the menu's anchor origin is. In this case, it will be at the bottom center. The transform origin we set to center center, meaning it will center around the menu's anchor origin. Before we can use the pop-up dialog box or message box, we need to inject the iDialog service. We'll use this to show the message box. In our first example, we got a button that's going to call a method to display the message box. We use a chip component to show some state. By default, the state will say click on delete button. Once you click the button, the method is executed, and our dialog service shows the message box. Its first parameter is the title, the next is the message, and then we set the text for the yes and cancel buttons. If the result is null, we set our state to canceled, otherwise we set it to deleted. In our next example, we're going to use the MudMessageBox component to define a template for our message box. You can imagine making this template more dynamic with variables for the title, message, and buttons. Of course, we need a reference to this MessageBox template, and we'll set and display a state again. Effectively, this does the same thing as the first example, except now we can more easily customize the MessageBox template. On a side note, remember to call state has changed after the message box was displayed to update the displayed state. Now, there's a number of options we can set for the dialog box. Here we defined a set of buttons that will each call the method to show the message box with different options. Setting max width and full width will show the message box as wide as possible. Setting close on escape key will allow the user to close the message box with the escape key. The backdrop click option specifies if the user can click anywhere else on the page to close or not to close the message box. The full screen option will show the message box full screen with a close button. You can also set the dialog position option to where you want the dialog to pop up. For example, at the top center of the screen. Then, like before, the button click will execute the method, this time with the specified options and show the message box. Here we see the maximum width, the close on escape key, no title or header, disabled backdrop so the user cannot click anywhere else, the full screen message, and a message box position top center. The MudNavMenu is a list of navigation links. It's typically used in the Mud drawer like shown here on the side, or it can be used as a standalone component. It has some customizations like icons and bordered. The bordered attribute displays a vertical line next to the current item. Using the NavMenu group, you can set up to 4 levels of expandable submenus. Here we see the bordered attribute set to true for the menu. In the NavMenu link, you can set the href attribute to one of your pages. The match attribute is used to match your current URL to an item in the menu, so the current page is highlighted in the list. To create a submenu, use a nav group. You can specify if it's already expanded or not. For this app, we used NavMenu in our navmenu.razor file. Then, in the main layout.razor file, we use this razor component in our Mud drawer. Thank you for watching our video. For more tutorials on C#, click subscribe. Give us a like so the video can be visible to more people.